when you talk about trying to find more ways to attack and getting back to what this team is, I mean, do you feel like you guys have struggled to find consistency, or just trying to find a sense of consistency and figuring out who this team exactly is and what their identity is?
Yeah, I think from an offensive standpoint, we're still trying to figure out. That's that's the hard part about college soccer. Like we start so early, and we only have 18 days to train before we play our first official game, and we have 14 new players out of 27. So the cohesion of the group, that takes time to build, and that takes time to train, and with all the games coming so thick and so fast, we don't get to train that much. It's more preparation, physically and tactically for the next game. So today we'll work on some stuff, just simple stuff in the attacking side of the game, and it's relationships. With the players, they need to know what he's going to do most likely most of the time, and what is he looking to do, and we encourage those conversations in training and in the film room amongst players. We don't want it to be a lecture when we're doing film. We want it to be a conversation, and the guys are having good conversations about that, and because ultimately they're the ones on the field. So it's a work in progress, but we have to be defensively sound as an absolute foundation if we want to achieve anything close to what we want to achieve. And we are there, and the standards are there, and the mentality's there. We just have to be better in front of their goal, So, but yeah, I think defensively, 5 shutouts in 7 games, and probably decently high nationally in terms of goals conceded. I think that's a good foundation for who we are.
Touched on it a little bit. I don't know if you did this on purpose, but the schedule you guys have turned out to be pretty good so far. At least the records of all the teams you've played. You got Northwestern, Marquette's only got 1 loss. UIC, I think, only has 1 loss. Kentucky, obviously. Was that by design, or that just kind of work out? Mercer got a really good record.
Yeah, I look at I'm in charge as the head coach of the non-conference schedule. I take ownership of that, and we want to play good teams that are going to challenge us, and prepare us for Big Ten play. They're going to give us different looks. Playing against Mercer was very different than playing against Marquette. Complete polar opposite styles of how to approach the game, both offensively and defensively. And not only short term in this season is that good for our players, but long term for our players that's good, because they have to get challenged, to see different parts of the game. And yeah, as we head into Big Ten play, I think a lot of the Big Ten teams try to play a similar type style, possession oriented, tough to play against defensively, big strong athletes, So and starting at Indiana obviously was the hardest, one of the hardest places to play. So yeah, we want to play the top teams in the country. We want to bring top teams to Madison, and then we'll go play top teams on the road. We're doing a home and home with Kentucky, so we'll be down in Lexington next year, and those are the environments and teams that our players want to play against. We want to recruit players that want to play against the top teams in the country. We want to have them here and be battle tested as we head into Big Ten play, and it has worked out. Some of it's a little bit of blind luck, but ultimately you're choosing teams and coaching staffs and programs that are fully invested in their men's soccer program and are going to churn out good teams and good quality results every single year.
Putting those 2 topics together, does that have anything to do with, you talk about a little bit of struggling to score goals? Is it partly because you're playing really good teams?
Yeah, I think so. They're good coaches and good players, and they're going to make it hard for you, just like we try to make it hard for everyone else, So, yeah, I think maybe if we'd played a quote-unquote weaker opponents, maybe we'd have a win or 2 more. But, yeah, I think from what I've seen online with RPI data and things like that, I think we have the 7th hardest strength of schedule so far this season. Out of 212 teams in Division I men's soccer, we have the 7th hardest schedule thus far. So that comes with some challenges for sure.
Talking about now getting into the thick of the Big Ten season here. Looks like 3 of the 4 games were ties in the first game, and one One with the result. Does that kind of tell you what's going to be like going through the Big Ten season?
I think there's more parity in the Big Ten men's soccer conference than ever, maybe. Obviously, the league is quality, top to bottom, and yeah, then we got Washington and UCLA coming in next year, who are two top 10 programs. So it's a really exciting time to be a part of the Big Ten conference, especially for men's soccer. And I think this season is going to be, it's going to be a race to the finish line here, and every single game matters, road, home. Every single moment matters, and yeah, the parity in the league is great, and it's exciting. Every game is going to be really difficult, and it's a different riddle to solve every single week. And we're excited to get after it tomorrow night against Northwestern.
Yeah, one more for you. You haven't really talked about any individuals. Is there anyone that's you're excited about, that's stood out so far? Who's been some of the leaders on the field for you through the first few weeks?
Yeah, we've got new players as we've talked about, but I think Nate Crockford's been very solid in goal and gives a good confidence to the players in front of him back there, and has made some big saves to preserve shutouts and preserve wins and results. Been impressed with some of our freshmen, Ryan Quintos out of Chicago Fire. He's basically played every single minute of every single game as a center back in college soccer, and in the Big Ten is difficult. Trip Fleming as well has been a steady player for us in the middle of the field, and is just Mr. Consistent, always brings it, and just covers so much ground in the middle of the field. I mean, his GPS data in terms of distance covered is elite, absolutely elite, and he's just a dedicated and fit athlete. Berger Bolvinson from Iceland has come in as a grad student. He'll be with us next year as well. He's just brought up a high quality level of play to our left side, and yeah, some of the returners like Max Keenan, has been scoring goals and getting assists. Would like to get him to get back to that, and then Tim Bielek, I think, has also been, he's captain fantastic. He's Mr. Badger, and yeah, he's put this team on his back many times, not only through his career but also through this season, and he's just been really consistent performer. So. Yeah, we'd like to see some of the offensive guys, give us some more a little bit, just in terms of creating moments, creating plays, scoring and assisting. But yeah, there's been a lot of good performances, but those are some of the key guys that have been impressive so far.